Here are 5 things that you should consider if you're thinking about moving to San Diego. What's up everyone? My name is Jack and this channel is all about real estate, investing, and me sharing my successes, failures, and experiences in hopes to save you time and money in the future. So let's get started. In today's video, I'm going to go over a few things that you should think about if you're considering moving to San Diego. So number 1 on the list, and this may be the obvious one, is the cost of living. If I'm not mistaken, I believe San Diego was just deemed the most expensive place to live in the US, so it's no secret that San Diego's cost of living is high. But these are the things you need to think about. First of all is, what are your goals when it comes to a place to live? Are you okay renting, or do you want to own a home? Because owning a home here is going to be the hardest and most difficult thing. The average home price here is about $800,000 to $900,000, all right? And that's for a single family home. So if you're looking at like a condo or a townhome, then you're probably looking more around, $500 on the low end to $700,000. So it's very expensive to get into a home here, and then you couple that with the high interest rate environment. And again, crunching the numbers, I've found that it's about $2,000 to $3,000 more to buy a home here than it is to rent. So that takes me to my next point on this topic, and that is, if you're okay renting here, it's really not too bad. And I think one of the main factors is going to be your job. So for example, me and my wife, we moved here from Charleston, South Carolina about 3 years ago. And my wife is a nurse, an RN, and she gets paid about $30,000 to $40,000 more living here in San Diego doing the same thing she was doing in South Carolina. When that is factored in to the cost of living, and we crunch the numbers, yes, rent is much higher here than it was in South Carolina, but because her pay is also so much higher, it's really very similar when we sit down and really crunch how much we're spending here compared to how much we were spending there and what we're able to save here compared to there. All right, so I think that's gonna be a big thing. Again, if you're working remotely and your job is based out of, let's say, like North Carolina, and you're moving here, then yes, that job, the pay is going to be lower because the cost of living there is lower, and that's what they're basing it off of. If that is the situation that you're going to be in, again, those are just the things I would think about before moving here, because again, depending on your situation, it's really not as bad as most people make it out to be. Now, gas prices here are super expensive. I think it's like $5 to $5.50 a gallon. Me and my wife both drive electric cars, and we save a fortune doing that here. So that is one thing I would highly recommend if you're thinking about moving here. Just get an electric car, and that kind of takes that cost right out. And then other than that, our car insurance, I'm pretty sure went down 20 bucks when moving here, but nonetheless, depending on where you're moving from, it doesn't change too much. I know if you move to Florida, your car insurance can go up a ton there. Not really the case here. Utilities, groceries, eating out at restaurants, all those things, I haven't really noticed, a big difference in those things. Is it maybe a little bit more? Yeah, but do you make a little bit more here? Yeah, depending on your job. So overall, the cost of living here really is not too bad, and it, again, just really comes down to your profession and your job, and whether or not you'll be making more money here than where you currently are living. Oh, one more thing, when it comes to owning a home, if you do get homeowners insurance, one thing to keep an eye out for is whether or not you're in a high fire zone. If that's the case, then your homeowners insurance can get pretty pricey. I've seen it as high as like $300 to $400. Again, only if you're in a high fire zone, okay? So that's a really big thing to consider. If you're closer to the coast, you're not really gonna be in one of those zones, but if you're going more, to East County out where it's a little more desert-like, then that's something you can run into. So again, just keep an eye out for that. It could make a really big difference in your monthly payment. All right, number 2 on the list, and that's going to be the weather. Again, maybe an obvious one. San Diego is known to have some of the best weather in the country, in the US, and I'm not gonna lie, the weather is great here. But I want you to consider a few things when you're considering on moving here for the weather, all right? So what kind of weather do you like? Is it tropical weather where you're always warm all year round? Or do you like the mild and cool weather almost like sweatshirt weather is how I like to put it, because that's how San Diego is. 8 months out of the year, I'm the most comfortable wearing a sweatshirt. Now, is there 2 or 3 hours out of the day where the sun's at its peak and it warms up? Yes. But most of the time, I'm wearing a sweatshirt. That's where I'm most comfortable. And that was something that me and my wife were the most surprised about. Moving from Charleston, South Carolina, it's pretty warm all year around there. We thought we were getting the same thing here, but again, about 8 months out of the year, I would say from the end of December to June or July, the weather is very mild. It's very cool. You can go to the beach, and every once in a while you'll get a warmer day, but a lot of the times, I mean, it's kind of cool there. And wearing a bathing suit, you're almost uncomfortable because it's a little too cold. Not to mention the water is ice cold here, being the Pacific Ocean. It's almost like an ice plunge when you get in that water. And I'm not joking. I mean, it's super cold. But wearing a wetsuit, not too bad in that scenario. But again, things to consider. If you're a very warm body, you like to always be warm, you like warm water, you like to lay out by the pool all the time, you like to spend a lot of time at the beach in your bathing suit, San Diego might not be the place for you, because we found that most of the year it's not that type of weather. Now, July to December, I will say the weather is perfect. I mean, it doesn't rain for 2, 3, 4 months in a row. It's about 72 to 77 degrees all the time. Those are the best months here in San Diego, and I love those months. But after that, the next 8 months, it gets kind of cold. That was something that caught me and my wife off guard the most. Oh, one other thing. Here in San Diego, there's something called May gray and June gloom, and it's exactly as it sounds. It's very gloomy and gray during those 2 months. And I think it has something to do with, the marine tide and the ocean and, whatever it is. But during those 2 months, especially when you're close to the coast, it's super gloomy and gray. I found that sometimes around like 1, 2, 3 o'clock, it clears up. But almost every single morning during those months, it's gray and gloomy. And the closer you get to the coast, the more often and the more times it's going to be gray and gloomy. So a lot of the things that I'm covering in this video is going to be, assuming you're living closer to the coast. If you go out to East County and, you're probably like 35, 40 minutes from the coast, things are a little bit different there. It's about 10 to 15, even 20 degrees warmer at all times. It's more desert-like. You don't really get the gray and the gloominess during those months. But again, I'm assuming if you're moving to San Diego, you want to spend a lot of time at the beach and the coast. So if that's the case, just some things to consider. You really only get about 4 months of really nice weather where you're comfortable doing so. Other than that, obviously we go to the beach still. We do everything that we would normally do, but we just have more layers. We have sweatshirts on, we have pants on. We're just not out there with, tank tops and flip-flops all the time. So for some of you, this might be the perfect weather, especially depending on where you're moving from. But me and my wife, we're a little bit more, warm bodies. We like to be by the pool and the ocean all year round. And again, it's just something that we were kind of caught off guard about when we moved here, and something I wanted to mention. All right, number 3 on the list, and that's going to be traffic and parking. All right, so the traffic or rush hour times in the morning is probably going to be anywhere from 6:30 to almost 9. And then in the evening, it's from 3:30 to about 6:30. All right, going into the city and towards the coast in the morning time is going to be the worst when it comes to traffic. And leaving the city or the coast in the evening time is going to be the worst. So the things to consider here are your commute, whether or not you commute to work, where your job will be, how far your commute will be, all right, and whether or not you're hitting that rush hour or not, because this could add 30 minutes to an hour onto your commute every day, and it kind of just kills the quality of life. So if you're working remotely, not an issue, and depending on where you're commuting from, if you're going the opposite direction of the traffic, it may not also be an issue. But besides that, I like to talk about the parking. So again, this is assuming you're closer to the coast. The parking sucks. When you go to the beach or you go downtown, especially during, the peak summer months, like I said, July to, November in that scenario maybe, the traffic's terrible, because not only do you have tourists coming in, people visiting, you'll drive around 15, 20, 30 minutes looking for parking. If you're downtown and you surrender and you go pay for parking, I think last time we went to eat at Little Italy in the evening, And, being downtown in the evening on a weekend, probably not going to find any meter parking. I think we spent like $28 for 2 hours. So, not the cheapest to park. And most of the places that you do park, you're going to pay for some type of parking, whether that's, meter parking, pay to park, or a parking garage. Even if you go to the beach, a lot of times you'll find that. You can get lucky, once you start knowing these areas a little bit better and find where the free parking is. But again, if it's super busy, the chances of you finding that is going to be rare, or you're just going to have to wait, 20, 30 minutes until one comes available. Just keep circling around until you find one. So other than that, not too bad. Again, this is going to apply more being, closer to the coast and downtown. Even here in Mission Valley, it's something that kind of aggravates me a little bit because it just feels really congested at times. But obviously living in San Diego, we're in a big city, so there's going to be traffic and there's going to be, issues with parking. All right, number 4 is going to be outdoor activities. All right, I like to mention this because if you're someone that likes surfing, you like golfing, you like hiking, you like sightseeing, you just like being outside, right? Even though the weather might not be, beach swim weather, it's still super nice weather, especially if you're working out outside or doing, other activities, kayaking, boating, whatever it might be. San Diego is full of it, and although you pay a premium to live here, you do get to take advantage of all these free things that San Diego has to offer. So I like to mention this because if you're someone that doesn't really enjoy outdoor activities and you're more of a homebody, you don't really get out too much, then maybe San Diego is not the place for you. Because again, you're kind of paying a premium price and you're not really taking advantage of everything that San Diego has to offer. All right, number 5, and the last thing to consider before moving here is where you want to live. All right, so take your time finding the perfect neighborhood where you and your family want to settle down. So when me and my wife moved out here from Charleston, South Carolina, we took about 3 or 4 days to explore San Diego and try to find a place that we wanted to live before moving here. And I'll let you know that 3 days, 4 days, even a week is not enough time to explore all of San Diego. So what I would recommend is finding a place that you like and renting there, and then taking the year that you live here to really explore the different areas and find where you want to settle down. So we found a place that we love, and to this day I still love it. It's called Otay Ranch in Chula Vista. It has a ton of new construction, new everything, new restaurants, shopping mall, landscaping is beautiful. We love the area, but one thing that we didn't consider was the commute to the things that we love to do from there. So we love to go to the beach, Coronado, La Jolla, Del Mar, and from this location, it's about 35 to 45 minutes to get there with no traffic. All right, so we found ourselves leaving the house almost every day going in that direction, and it just got exhausting. And we look back and we just think that, man, I wish we would have took more time to really think about where we wanted to live before going all in and buying a home. Because obviously, once you do that, you're kind of tied, to that home for a while. We did get lucky and were able to rent out the home and make a little bit of money doing so. And then we are currently renting now in Mission Valley, which is very centrally located, 10 or 15 minutes away from just about anything. And the only thing I don't like about it is that it is a little bit cooler here, and the traffic and how congested it is a little bit worse here than it was there. But overall, we love the location. Just take your time. It's one thing that we wish we did. And again, we kind of lucked out in the way things worked out, but not everyone will be that fortunate. And once you buy a home somewhere, if that's your goal, then you're gonna be stuck in that area. So again, I really highly recommend getting here, renting, and really exploring all of San Diego before you pinpoint exactly where you want to live, because there are a ton of neighborhoods. We've been here for 3 years and we're still finding new neighborhoods. Not to mention, I'm a realtor, so I'm constantly driving around to new houses showing them. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm like, wow, didn't even know this neighborhood, that neighborhood. So San Diego is beautiful. All of it's beautiful. And finding the right home for you is going to be super important. So again, just take your time doing so. But that's all I have for you guys in this one. If you found any value in this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.